Now, Americans' view of the U.S. economy declined modestly in August as anxiety over a weakening job market grew for the 8th straight month. The Conference Board, a U.S. non-profit research organization, said on Tuesday that its consumer confidence index ticked down 1.3 points to 97.4 in August, down from 98.7 in July. Concerns about price hikes due to President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs also persisted. On to Europe now. Trade between the EU and the US continues to be sputtering, even though the two sides recently signed a trade agreement, with Brussels agreeing to many of Washington's demands. Lars Holte is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, what's behind these ongoing problems?
Thanks for having me. Yes, it's frustrating. It's been months now that US President Donald Trump has disrupted trade around the world by levying rather random tariffs on almost every country. Weeks of uncertainty followed. A few trade agreements were signed, even though agreement was a big word for what was often not much more than a memorandum of understanding. One of the major deals, though, was between the US and the EU, and it came under fire pretty much as soon as it was signed. Many in the European Union were upset that Brussels gave in to many of Washington's demands, including buying billions worth of fracked natural gas. But at least in Brussels, they were celebrating, certain to have a more regulated trade relationship with the US once again. But weeks later now, it turns out that's not the case at all. Initially, the agreement said the US would lower import tariffs, for example, on European cars from 27.5% down to 15%. Then it was unclear when that lowering would actually happen. And just last week, we found out it won't happen anytime soon, despite what the agreement said. And now President Trump points to a seemingly unrelated debate over taxes that might be behind the delay.
Okay, so where does that leave the EU? Will they end the digital taxes?
No, they won't. Brussels has made it very clear that it won't do any changes to the Digital Services Act or the Digital Markets Act. These days, that is not something we should take for granted. Canada has actually promised the US not to levy taxes on revenue that US online giants make in the country. And on the other hand, the UK has a 2% tax on such business. And that's still in effect, even though the country has signed a trade agreement with the Trump government. If indeed one day such taxes would go away, it might be because the OECD has long argued that digital taxes should not be levied by countries individually. That is, of course, due to the global reach of the internet and the difficulties even administrating such taxes. Rather, the OECD says there should be a global framework on how to assert taxes for multinationally operating companies. Now, that doesn't sound like something the Trump government would like either, of course. Meanwhile, the uncertainty in terms of US-EU trade remains, and weeks after an agreement was signed, it's actually unclear how the transatlantic trade relationship will look heading into the next, well, still 4 years.